Most people think that great podcast editing is all about removing mistakes, but the real secret is that it is about creating emotion and pulling that out of your audience. Here's what I'm talking about. I've got a clip here, which is a standard vocal intro without anything done to it. Let's take a listen.
Welcome to the Mind Hack, your weekly reminder that you were made for more.
Now you can hear some emotion in the speaker's voice, but let's see what that's like after we add some sound design.
Welcome to the Mind Hack, your weekly reminder that you were made for more.
See how much better that is? In this episode, I'm going to show you my whole process of editing that clip, all the tips and tricks that I've learned over the last 13 years. Let's dive in. All right, so we're going to do all of this in Audacity. I chose Audacity for this tutorial because it is fairly easy to learn, it's simple, and best of all, it is free. So everything that I do here, you can do without paying a single dime. So in this place right here, this very top track, this is our voiceover for our intro. And then these two tracks down here, these stereo tracks, stereo just meaning there's two sides to it. You can see this is music, and we're going to decide which of these is going to fit best. And then we're going to edit it to make it sound amazing. So first of all, I'd like to listen to the voiceover just to get a feel for it, the emotion that the host is trying to portray. And then we're going to go from there. So to do that, we're going to hit solo right here on this track. So it's only going to play that track. I can select the track and hit space to play it.
Welcome to the Mind Hack, your weekly reminder that you were made for more. This is the place where we dig into the mindsets, habits, and stories that unlock your potential and help you create a life you're proud of. Whether you're chasing big goals, rebuilding after setbacks, or simply searching for clarity, you'll find the tools and inspiration you need right here. So take a deep breath, lean in, and let's do this together. Here we go.
All right, so personal development, inspirational, changing oneself to meet your goals, to become the person you want to become. All right, that sounds good. So we need some inspirational type of music. So I've grabbed two different audios here. When I'm looking for music to grab, if it's up to me to choose, I look at the waveform. That is the first thing I do. When you're looking on Pond 5 or something, you can see the waveform. Now you notice how we have some waveform that's smaller here, but then larger here. And then we have a real small section, then back to a large. These are volume changes within the track. And this usually specifies the places where the flow of it will change. If all of it looked like this, like right here, I wouldn't be as interested in it because there's not a lot of dynamic change to use. And we want to use dynamic change to drive the emotion of the voiceover. This one down here is even more defined. We have a little soft beginning, then it ramps up a little bit, then it gets even a little bit louder, and then we have what I would think would be the chorus, and then we go back down and do it again, big chorus, and then a finish kind of fades out. So let's start with this top one, and we're going to listen to it and get a feel for what it is, and we'll see if we think it's going to fit our voiceover. Pretty standard, inspirational, something you might hear on a TED Talk or something like that. So right here is where it changes. So we're going to just click our cursor here and we're going to listen to this change and see what that sounds like. Okay, so they brought in some cymbals to kind of ride into that. And then you've got some drums and you have some more strings in the background. And then right here it changes again. Let's see what that says. But it looks like it's building through all of this. So let's just listen to this last part and then this dip here. See what that sounds like. Okay, so obviously we build up real big right here, like it's going to hit the crescendo, and then it falls off for a measure or so, and then it comes back in with the crescendo. That little fall off place there is great for building anticipation. So if there's any places in the script that we want to kind of build up the audience's anticipation, we can use something like that. Okay, so I think I've got a good idea of how that sounds. Let's go down to this bottom one and see what type of different feel we have from it. Okay, so right off the bat, this is much more emotional. This has more depth to it. It's not quite inspirational yet, but it is building. So let's listen to this little transition right here, and then we'll come up here and listen to this. Okay, so that's really nice. It's building anticipation. And then when it comes back in with the full instruments, it's a little bit louder, a little bit more in the mix. And it takes that emotion level and ratchets it up a bit. Let's see what it does here. So exact same thing, okay? It's built your emotion right here, then it builds anticipation, then it delivers on that anticipation with a heightened state of emotion, and then right here builds more anticipation and then delivers with an even higher state of emotion. I like this one a lot better. I feel like it's more dynamic. I feel like the softer beginning could lend itself to the emotion that we have in the actual voiceover. So I'm going to delete this one here by pressing the X. This is what we're going to work with. So what I usually do is I will cut this voiceover into sections. I want basically an intro section, and then a mid section, and then the ending section. So the intro is usually going to be softer, kind of builds up to what the podcast is all about. The middle actually starts driving home some of the benefits you're going to get from it. And then the ending is kind of the crescendo, the call to action, all right, let's get going. That's when the episode would start. So we're going to listen to this again. We'll make those little splits. So if you don't want to listen to this as well, you can unclick the solo. And then to zoom in, you just hold down Control and use your mouse wheel. And then space to play.
Welcome to the Mind Hack, your weekly reminder that you were made for more. This is the place where we dig into the mindsets, habits, and stories that unlock your potential and help you create a life you're proud of. Whether you're chasing big goals,
So I'm going to make a cut right there. This is just Control I.
Whether you're chasing big goals, rebuilding after setbacks, or simply searching for clarity, you'll find the tools and inspiration you need right here. So take
Another cut right there.
So take a deep breath, lean in, and let's do this together. Here we go.
I think for a podcast like this, that's going to have lots of tips and tricks in it, a lot of mindset stuff, it would be really nice to open with a teaser. So open with a section from the audio of the actual podcast that really hits home. Maybe it delivers a ton of emotion, and we kind of use that as a hook to get people in. So we would start that just a cold open. It would start that intro or that teaser. And then about halfway through, we start to fade in some soft music. So I think the music that we fade in is this low stuff right here. And then we would want it to start building right about here, right when this comes in. So I'm going to select these, move them over. And if you want to grab and move, you just hold down Control and grab. But you have to make sure that this little thing is selected, the multi-tool. Standard, when you open it up, it's the selection tool, and that's not going to do anything for you. So click this multi-tool, then you can select, control, and drag. All right, so I'm going to select, control, drag this here. So I need to figure out where exactly I want this music coming in. So his opening lines is,
Welcome to the Mind Hack.
Welcome to the Mind Hack. So it's fairly big. I don't want it to overshadow the music, and I don't want the music to overshadow it. So let's listen to this and see where a good spot to bring that in would be. I think right here might be good. So I'm just going to you can make a little rubber band here by clicking the line at the top. You'll see the two arrows on either side of it. And then I'm going to make another one right to the left of it, and I'm going to pull this down to kind of make a fade. So this is what's going to be low and quiet underneath that teaser, and then it's going to ramp up. A little too steep for me, so you can pull this out to make it more gradual. I think I'm going to have him come in after the little drop here on the first of the measure. The first beat of the measure.
Welcome to the Mind.
Maybe give it a little more space.
Welcome to the Mind Hack, your weekly reminder. Welcome to the Mind Hack, your weekly reminder that you were made.
This is nice, but it's a little loud. We don't want to drown out the vocals at all.
Welcome to the Mind Hack, your weekly reminder that you were made for more. This is the place where we dig into the mindsets, habits, and stories that unlock your potential and help you create a life you're proud of.
All right, I'm going to create a little break here and spread this out a tiny bit. If you can build little bits of silence in here, it can add to the suspense without having to mess with the actual composition of the track like is done right here.
That you were made for more. This is the place where we dig into the mindsets, habits, and stories that unlock your potential and help you create a life you're proud of.
And then right here it builds, and then it breaks down to this little quiet place right here. We're going to let that stay. We're not going to put any vocals over that. And then right here when the beat drops, I think we're going to bring this in, the next part right after that. Because it's not quite the main crescendo. That's over here. But this is where he starts talking about everything you're going to get out of this podcast. So we'll see how that sounds.
Whether you're
maybe give a little more space.
Whether you're chasing big goals, rebuilding after setbacks, or simply searching for clarity, you'll find.
Going to make another little break here. Again, Control I is the key. See how that sounds.
Rebuilding after setbacks or simply searching for clarity. You'll find the.
Okay, I'm going to space this out a little bit. I'm shortening this space and I'm building some space here.
Whether you're chasing big goals, rebuilding after setbacks, or simply searching for clarity, you'll find the tools and inspiration you need right here.
Okay, I like that. The music is not overpowering, and it's building in anticipation. It's very similar to the way that the voiceover is building in anticipation. But now we've got a little bit of a problem. If we want his call to action, which let's listen to that again.
So take a deep breath, lean in, and let's do this together. Here we go.
If we want this to happen where the main crescendo happens on the song right here, which I do want that to be the place, we got a problem. Because if we put this here, it's not going to happen for a long time. If we slide it over here, then we're going to have a massive dead space as far as vocals go, and people are going to start clicking off of your podcast. So what are we going to do? Well, this is where it gets fun, at least in my opinion. We're going to edit this down and bring this spot closer into here. So it really helps if you have some musical background. If not, I'm going to kind of teach you how to do this. It's not too hard. This song is a 4/4 beat. So it's basically counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and repeating. And you'll notice the high points always come in on 1. So let's find one of those ones. I'm going to mute this track for now, just unclick the solo so we can listen to just this. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. So right here where it goes into this one, here's the 1 right there. I'm going to make a break. And then we're going to go find a 1 that's close to this, if that makes sense. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Right there. Okay, so there's a 1 right here. And you can kind of hear right here, you hear some cymbals kind of ramp up right before the break here. So listen to that. Kind of goes up like that. So we're going to splice those two places together because you'll notice there's the same ramp up here. So we're just going to double click this, hit backspace, and slide this in. Now this is not going to sound perfect, but this is a little better than what we had. So we're going to fine tune this to make it perfect. Actually, that sounds pretty good. You can barely hear that there's a cut here. That's because we cut it on the 1. If we were to cut it on the 2 and the 1, then we're going to have something that sounds weird. A lot of people wouldn't notice it, but musicians and other people like that who really get into music would. So, is that okay? Is this too much space right here? Maybe. Let's see what that would sound like with this put in here.
So take a deep breath, lean.
Okay, so this is good, but it's a little loud. So I'm going to let the emotion of the music carry it instead of the volume. So I'm dropping this volume here just by creating another little rubber band. Let's see how that sounds.
So take a deep breath, lean in, and let's do this together.
Okay, for the most part, I like that. I'm going to listen to right over here to see exactly what this sounds like at this drop right here. Okay, we're going to use this place. So what we're going to do is we like this little transition here, and we like the high right here where the emotion ramps up. So we're going to find a place right here to cut and then splice it right in with a place here. So we're basically getting rid of everything in between, if that makes sense. So let's go and do our little counting again. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. So here's a 1. We'll make a cut there. Then we'll find the 1 right before this little breakdown. So right here's the 1. I want to go back to the previous measure. Roughly right here. So we're going to get rid of this, slide this together, and it's not going to sound the same because they're building even to the end of this section. So we're going to listen to this and see how it sounds and maybe make some tweaks. So did you hear that? It was doing its little chord progression. And then it jumps way up because the chord progression was slight, but since we cut that out, it jumped from a lower chord up to a higher chord, which is fine. I think it's going to sound okay with his vocal over it. So let's listen to that.
So take a deep breath, lean in, and let's do this together.
So I think this sounds okay. There's a little bit of a oddity here just because we're familiar with this track, because it usually would build, one measure, and then it would go up for a measure, and then another measure, and then it would finally hit this little crescendo right here. But I don't think it's going to be too big of a deal. Let's see about maybe changing that a little bit. I'm going to actually add another measure in here, so let me go back and do that. We're going to try this. I don't think it's going to sound the best, but we'll see. Yep, that sounds good. Okay, so we're actually going to bring some spaces into this, some gaps to stretch it this whole way and kind of go with the emotion on it.
So take a deep...
I'm actually going to delete this space right there. I don't think that sounds good.
So take a deep breath.
And then we're going to add a cut there, move this back a little bit.
Deep breath. Lean in.
Another cut, and then space this out a bit.
And let's do this together. Here we go.
See how that sounds closer.
Here we go.
Or maybe here. That would be weird, but let's see.
This together. Here we go.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Here we go.
So I like this drop here, and I don't want to cover it up with the vocals. It doesn't get as much emotion across. Listen to what I mean.
Together. Here we go.
Because you're hearing the here we go. You're not hearing the drop off of the vocals or the music. So I want to get them both in there.
Together. Here we go.
Perfect. Okay, and then this section right here, I'm actually going to just make a cut here. Going to delete all of this over here. We don't need it. And then I'm going to basically select from basically here all the way to the end. So just dragging and selecting. Then I'm going to go up to my tools. Or not tools, my effects, the volume and compression. No, that's not it. Fading. And I'm going to fade out. So you're going to fade it out. So basically what's going to happen is the podcast content would start right here as this is fading out. So it'll sound like this.
So take a deep breath. Lean in. and let's do this together. Here we go.
And that might be where he says, welcome to the Mind Hack, or whatever this thing's called. Today we're talking with such and such psychologist about freeing yourself from past traumas and living to your full potential. Whatever. I'm happy with that. I may tweak it a little bit as I edit future episodes, but I like it. So right here, the episode would start with a cold open. So I'm just going to wing something just to give you an idea of what it would sound like. And I realized that what my problem was, my insecurity, wasn't actually related to current beliefs. It was actually related to past beliefs. Things that my parents had subconsciously made me feel that were affecting the ways that I was living out my life today. And being free of that really has helped me better my relationship with my wife, my kids, and now my parents as well. So it's kind of come full circle. And I can't thank this podcast enough for doing that for me.
Welcome to the Mind Hack, your weekly
Okay, so again, I just made that up, just winged it. But you see what I'm saying? We would hook the audience in with something from the guest or maybe something from the host later in the episode. Let that be the lead in, and then we would use this little thing to fade in and then go right into the intro. So since we have this the way we like, I'm just going to select this, and then you can control and select the one above, and then you're basically going to render it. There we go. We're going to mix and render together. Now it's one track. Now we can export this and use it in our podcast. Once you've exported it, Audacity, once you save a thing, you can't go back and make changes. So what I would do after you've rendered it is I would just Control-Z until you have your granular things that if you ever realize, I don't like the way that it sounds, you can change it. This is simple stuff, but it makes a huge difference. So whether you're editing your own podcast or you're having someone do it or you work with a firm like mine, if they're not doing this, work with them to do this, okay? Learn to do this yourself. Kind of instruct them on what they need to be doing. Share this video with them if you have an editor and they need that help, because this can really make or break your show. This can take great content and make it amazing, because it's not just about the mental or the intellectual property that you're giving to people. It's about the emotion. People only make changes in their life because of emotion. I mean, really, think about it. You do something because you're scared of the consequences of not doing it, or the fear of missing out, or you are so tired of being sick and tired of not doing whatever it is that you decide to make a change. This is the essence of humanity, is this emotion. This is what sets us apart. And by doing little things like this, you can capture this emotion. You can pull it out of your audience and really make your podcast shine. I hope this was helpful for you. If you like this and need more tips and tricks like this, please subscribe to the podcast and this YouTube channel. If you have any questions or comments or things that you think I could do better, leave them in the comments below. I'm happy to start up a conversation there with you. So until next time, keep it on the fast track.